Chris Carr. He runs a digital marketing agency called Farotech. He's developed a digital marketing system that helps generate leads, nurture leads, and turn leads into clients. Super excited to have him come on. It's such a blessing to the show, and I'm just excited to meet you as a person, man. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm happy to be here.
Cool. It's cool. So I got to tell you, like, I got my cool background, my cool backdrop with the logos and stuff, but I mean, it doesn't even compare to this cool, like, TV in the back.
Yeah, man.
Your war board over there. I'm like trying to look at it, get some like tips.
Yeah, man. We've been doing this for almost 19 years, and I tend to like live in this office. And so I remember like saying to my business partner, like, if I'm going to live here, like I'm going to have a lot of the toys that make me kind of see this thing straight. And, you know, over time, you just start piecing this thing together. You sort of draw your own strategy, and you wake up one day and the whole room's kind of like a beautiful mind where you have all these connections and stuff like that. But
I could show you some boards over here. Drives my girlfriend crazy. She's just like, you're doing that all the time. And what's it doing? I'm like, well, it's all in here. See, it's happening.
I know my employees are like, can you think with a marker when you don't have a marker in your hand? I'm like, not really. Like I always, you're drawing like the simplest things ever, but like I'm very visual. Like that's kind of like how I think, you know?
Yeah, you're my people, man. So, all right. Well, so as marketers, we're here trying to help you guys. You know, those of you guys that are maybe new to the show, watching this, essentially what our goal here is you build a website, you know, and our sponsor is Mighty Website Builder. I better plug that here. Just going to throw that in. If you guys want your website reviewed, that's what we do here on the show. Enter to win $3,000 by commenting your website domain below. $3,000 website credit, I should say. Enter to win that. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, give us a thumbs up, give us the hearts. Let's help the algorithms. So good stuff. So let's just dive right into it. Like, how did you get started in marketing?
Well, you know, I didn't grow up doing it. It wasn't my major in college. I started building a website. You know, the joke that I sort of had was not the joke, but the story I have is kind of a joke is that I had a girlfriend in college, and I had this super romantic idea when we broke up that if I put her artwork online, this was before websites were even like popular, man. We're talking 1999. If I could just do that, like, you know, she's going to be so impressed, and, you know, that's going to solve all the problems that we had. And, you know, I tried to hire a guy, he couldn't do it. And like 4 months later, I'm learning how to do it myself. Never even went back to the girl anymore. Like literally, like she was kind of like an afterthought at this point. And then they wake up, and now I have a web development company. The web development company turns into a marketing company. I've got payroll that would give you kidney stones, you know. You know what I mean? Like,
as long as it's making you money, right?
20 years later, that's just crazy though. You know, she still probably won in the aspect of like how much stress I put on my life in the last 20 years. But you know, all's well. That's sort of the long route.
I love the muse. I love the muse story. You know, people talk about the muse. You know, back in the day, there's a lot of philosophical stuff about that. You know, what we do as men is a lot of times to impress a woman, and so it's interesting,
funny, right? Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah. So tell me, what out of all the marketing things you do, you have a lot of resources at your beck and call. You know, they said one of the things that made Ford so smart, you know, the Ford company, Henry Ford, one of the things that made him so smart wasn't that he was himself smart, but that he had like a switchboard where he could push any button and call forward the knowledge from so many different experts that he had at his beck and call.
Sure.
So now those are all great things, but we want to extract as much as we can out of Chris here, because I know you got those resources. But Chris, tell me, what is your marketing superpower? What are you just great at?
Well, I think what we found is that we work with a lot of companies, and they would do what we call kind of silver bullet marketing, which means that, you know what, they said, if I could just get on the first page of Google of my website, it would solve all my problems. Or if I was just really good at social media, it would solve all my problems.
Yeah.
And what we were able to do is kind of say, you know what, like I would ask like really direct questions. I would say, well, I want to be on the first page of Google. And I'm like, why? I'm like, duh, I want to drive a ton of traffic. I'm like, well, what happens if I drive a lot of traffic and your website sucks, or your messaging is off, or you're not measuring your conversion rates? You know, all this stuff it all matters, you know?
Yeah.
And if you use the expression like, don't sweat the small stuff, you'd never work for me if you didn't sweat the small stuff. Like that's what we do. If I can get a 3% uptick in conversion in January and I continue that every single month in 12 months times 3%, you know, those are big numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so those are the things that sort of matter. And so, you know, I have a systematic approach and I can walk through it. I can literally share my screen and kind of show it to you.
Yeah.
And what's cool about that is when we like started to put it into action where we started to systematize it, it became extremely clear for our clients. And in that process, our sales went up. They got to see it. They bought in better. And then their sales went up. It's just over like 19 years, you know, it's amazing how much can grow. You know, I joke around. I say it's shocking how little you can get done in a day, but how much you can get done in a year.
Yeah.
Do you know
It's
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to take it in little bite sizes, you know, and build
Yeah.
on top of it. And I love the idea what you're talking about with the whole website. You know, you can be on the first page of Google. As a matter of fact, I know some people who are ranking in the map pack. You know, the top three in the maps, and
Mhm.
then they even have some organic SEO with their Google page, but they don't even have a website. Like, and so when people go to the website, they're not doing any kind of lead capture. They're not building an
Yeah.
email list. And as soon as Google, you know, shuts them down, I just tell them like, you're not building anything long term. This is something that could be taken from you at any
Yeah.
moment.
I write blogs about this. It's like building your house on sand, you know, like, I mean, transparently, I was in SEO before the first algorithm change even happened, the first major ones. And I watched it
Mhm.
all slip away, which all
The
my
Google
clients slip
slap.
away. Yeah. Which is like, it's like crazy though. But I mean,
Yeah.
like, I remember after having a business for 12 years, borrowing $10,000 from my parents to keep the business afloat because Google
Mhm.
did an algorithm change and I lost everything within 6 months. But I know now what not to do. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I know where I don't cut corners on SEO anymore. I do a lot of best practices. I do a lot of things that are going to move the needle. I also diversify my approach so that if Google does an algorithm change, my client's not dead in the water because I can just
Mhm.
dump more into paid ads, or I can go into paid social or social. And
Yeah.
so what happens here is that when you turn it into a system, if one leg of the table gets weak, you can just strengthen it with the other legs until you figure out what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So I'm curious. So you said that you kind of pivoted before. Were you building an email list, or was that something you weren't really were focused on?
Not as much. I mean, we're jumping all of our energy into very heavy backlinked SEO,
Mhm.
and this was
Yeah.
pre-niche. This was
This is
pre
the
almost all the
tools.
best practice. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Quantity. Yeah.
our clients were psyched. We were getting ranking for really big keywords in 90
Yeah.
days, and they were psyched. But we had no idea that Google was just going to flip the switch and say, you know what,
Mhm.
those don't fit our best practices anymore. And you're like, okay, great. Well, now I've been doing this for years. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And now I
Yeah.
have to unplug everything and start over again and hope my clients are
Yeah.
patient enough. Some were, some weren't, you know.
Mhm.
But that
Yeah.
was 2012, you know, so lots
Yeah.
changed since then.
A lot has changed. Yeah, and now
Yep.
it's like, there's so much like, I heard there's an algorithm change, like, every few days, you know, some
Yeah.
slight change.
And have you ever seen Mozcast?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, it's literally like a weather report of how often they're changing the dials. And you know, our team looks at that quite a bit. We
yeah,
also
that's really
use
good.
SEM Rush where they'll have a
Mhm.
tool that'll say, hey, this is where you dipped, and it'll literally show on the bottom of your timeline, hey, this is the algorithm change that happened at that time. So you can start
Yeah,
to say, well, the dip and the timing of the algorithm change are very similar. So
yeah.
maybe I'm in violation there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm finding those things and finding the links and using. I find like using tools. You know, you just keep adding these tools, test them out, see how they work, see
Yep.
how they help optimize, and then don't overthink it. You know, just have a checklist. And hey, this has worked. This isn't what, because maybe what's working today isn't going to work tomorrow, and so you got to
Yep.
keep testing everything and seeing what's working for you.
Yeah. I found that there's no silver bullet in marketing. There's also no silver bullet in software. So like HubSpot gets me half the way there, and
Yeah.
SEM Rush gets me half the way there. And our approach bridges the gap. A lot of customization, a lot of being nimble, a lot of testing like crazy to find out what's working and what's not. You know, we
Mhm.
use an analogy of like it's more of like a myth, but the first Apollo rockets that went to the moon, they said they were off course like 97% of the time. And so they just kept course correcting and course correcting and course correcting. And yet they made it safely to the moon and safely back to Earth. Well, that's marketing, man. Like you and I could talk all day long. Like you could pick any industry, any niche, and we could say, you know what, this is totally going to work based upon what we know about this firm. But we don't know what it's going to be for, less in your case, like a law firm in Michigan. We're going to use best practice. We're going to launch it and we're going to measure it. And then we're going to teach our clients how to make adjustments left and right. And then eventually you're going to sharpen the spear over time and you're going to start to see results. It's like you're going to find that secret recipe of what's working and what's not. But a lawyer in Michigan and a lawyer in California are very different things. You know what I mean? And so to act like there's silver bullet where it's just like, oh, I have it all figured out for everyone everywhere. It's like, no, you give them the tools to start the process, but then you analyze and you measure and you adjust.
That's good. That's good. I really like that. And one of the things that you said that kind of stood out to me is like using the different tools is like, it feels like there's always another tool coming out. Like I like Uber Suggest by Neil Patel.
Oh yeah.
It seems to give really good top pages. That's what I've been using for the show. But I like Ahrefs and like you said, there HubSpot's a really good one too. Yep. Especially for a CRM. I was really surprised at how well it helps with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that their initial funding, I believe, was from Salesforce. And so what I think that they did was they were able to look under the hood and say, well, this works and this doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And, obviously Salesforce is the gorilla in the industry, but, like a big ship turns slowly. And I think HubSpot was able to create a CRM that could be nimble at first and does a lot of things. I don't think it solves all the problems for every company, but man, does it solve a lot of the problems for many companies.
I was really surprised. Out of all the ones I looked at, I did a little review of 3 of all of them. And then I pick the top 3 and they were it was like for the price, like you can't beat it.
You're not kidding.
So good stuff. And a lot of times you get things like that, like Canva. There's certain softwares that come out that you're just like, how can it be free or how can it be almost free?
Almost free. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, there's the whole social dilemma on that
that's true
too, but
that's true.
A story for another time.
Get that data.
Exactly. You are the product. I don't know that you saw that. It's like anything that's free or nearly free. It's like you're the product because you're just looking at our usability stats and selling those, but it's okay. I mean, I'll make that trade.
And I feel like we all will. I feel like, especially those who don't understand. I mean, the guy who's not going to make the trade is the guy who doesn't even have a smartphone. Actually, he's got a flip phone.
Yeah.
So good stuff. So you talked a little bit about, it sounds like you're a numbers guy, and for your clients. And so you're looking at the numbers. That's kind of like your superpower. So maybe we can use your superpower today when we're going over the website here shortly and kind of dive into it. I know it's a fairly new website, but this person, he's just diligent about posting his website in the comments and he just keeps going. I'm like, all right, we got to give this guy a shot here. So
that's actually my favorite type of client because, people that just want to sort of set it and forget it, they never grow in marketing. But the guy who's hungry and the guy who's willing to learn and the guy who's willing to listen, he wins. Yeah. He eventually finds a way to win. It's like if you hang around a barbershop long enough, eventually you're going to get your hair cut.
That's a good. That's a good one. So, so what are some of the things that you would say? Someone who's getting ready to start a website, what would you say is like the first 3 things they should consider when they're setting it up?
Well, the first thing you got to be able to figure out is that what are your goals from an aspect of everyone says goals, right? But you got to say, how much am I willing to do here? Can I share my screen real quick?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll let you share it on StreamYard here.
Yeah, I know Zoom will. It should. Let me just give me 1 second here. 1 second. Just take a second.
Maybe I need to unshare mine, or mine is.
You know what? Yeah, I have some settings. I'll have to do some later, but I'll I can look up your show some other time. We can look later. It's asking me to quit Chrome, and that'll quit StreamYard. So we can look at it later. So let me kind of break down the way it would sort of work, and I'll just tell you visually. The first thing I need to be able to know is marketing is moving so fast that that you are probably in a space where you're going to need subject matter expertise. A lot of people think that they can do it themselves, or they say, hey, I've got a marketing guy or a gal. But the problem with all that is that, I mean, building websites is hard, and it's constantly changing. And SEO is hard, and it's constantly changing. Social media and paid social media is hard, and it's constantly changing. My company, I have subject matter experts in every critical area, of marketing. And that's all they do, is they stay in their lane. And so what happens here is that companies that try to hire one person to be a subject matter expert in all things, it's just not possible anymore. And so what you got to say to yourself is, you know what? Like, what are my long-term goals? Am I willing to build a system to systematically generate leads, nurture leads into clients, and then convert those clients? If I know that that is what I want, a system that over time is going to go from a funnel model to more like a flywheel, where it's just a system that's going to continuously generate leads, I got to say, what do I got to put in place to get there? And what we do is that we sort of come in as an agile, we do an approach where we have a very agile approach, but what we're going to do is we're going to make you the quarterback, or your marketing person the quarterback. And then our team comes along and we do all the things that you don't have the time to do. So to circle back to your question is, you have to say, hey, you know what? Am I going to try to scale this thing one employee at a time, knowing that it could take years for me to build my team of ninjas? Do I have enough money to do that? I mean, it could, in salaries alone, it could be $200,000, $300,000. Or am I willing to outsource the parts of this system that I don't know how to do? And so that's one of the things that I do. Step number one is like, do I have the expertise or the time or the energy to do this right? Commonly, the answer is no. The next thing I got to do is I got to get very serious about my buyers. You got to go into buyer persona analysis. If you don't know who your clients are, and a lot of people say, oh, I do. If it's not written on paper, if you don't have critical questions and know how those questions change from one buyer persona to the next buyer persona, it's all in your head, and it's going to translate to really crappy content. And that content's only going to rank if you're doing SEO tricks. It's not going to come from quality content. And we believe that quality content and developing strong messaging is what separates good companies from great companies. So sorry, that was a little bit tiring.
No, that was good. Yeah. Actually, for those of you guys watching the show, whenever you see me writing stuff down, that's where I'm like, there's golden nuggets happening. So when I go to edit stuff, I need those clips. I'm like, okay, I need to go to this, to this area of the interview. That's good stuff. You guys,
have you seen that software called Domination? But imagine the word domination. You take all the vowels out. And it's like, this guy created this software. It's awesome. But you literally you put a long form video in there, and it will do you tell them where all the breaks are going to be. If it's a question and answer session, the software is smart enough to know you asked me a question and I answered it. And it'll break it into all these micro contented videos, and it puts your intro and your outro on there. So for like 15 bucks. Domination? Yeah. For like $15, it does, it'll turn a video into 15 videos.
I get to be the product again.
Yep. So I joke around, and I'll go on YouTube when I show this to a client, and I'll just type in Joe Rogan sharks. All right. Yeah. That dude's got 15 videos about sharks, not because he was trying to talk about sharks, but because he micro contented that 2-minute snippet about sharks. Like, the dude talks and talks and talks.
Yeah.
Over time, you just build a library, and it's like, now I've got 9 shark videos, right?
It's like someone listening to Gary Vee too much. That's what that is. Come up with 30. What does he say?
It's like 100 content from one. Yeah,
like 100. Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, it's great advice. I mean, only because the more you post with social, the more you're seen, the more you're shown. Yeah.
Yep.
So good stuff. I feel like we've gotten a lot there. So let's go ahead and do some website insight. And after we dive into the website insight, we are going to announce the winner. And I'm going to actually type it over here in my little secret type chat box to Chris, and Chris will be the one to announce it, if you will.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. So first we're going to go ahead and share this screen. Let's go ahead and bring that up. This is the website we're reviewing. It's Serve for You.
Yep.
And Let me go and take off some stuff here. Take this off. All right. So the first thing I always like to do, and just a little disclaimer, this is a website that I built for one of my clients, and he just keeps posting it, in the comments, which you guys need to do down below. Post in the comments your website so that you can be entered to win the $3,000 website credits. All right. So what is your first thing? I always go first to look at make sure it has a security certificate, make sure it's got its phone number. I mean, it's a basic service, but what are some of the things that stand out to you right away? And we want the complete honesty here.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I tried to do as well is just to make sure that it was mobile responsive, and it was. My concern is that not my concern, but I was happy to know that the company is actually called Serve For You. So the domain name matched the name of the company, because when you look at it in mobile, the whole Serve For You part of the logo comes off. It's literally just a document that's kind of like the swoosh. I believe if he knows clients that know he exists, that's not a problem. But clients that don't know he exists, that might be one of the areas where it's like, I want to know what you want to be able to do in less than 8 seconds. Because, we joke around and say the attention span of a goldfish is 8 seconds and the attention span of a human is 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So you know what? If I confuse them early, they're gone.
So having the document there when it's on mobile, which most people are searching on mobile, they may not know what he does.
I know. It's almost like I'd rather have the Serve For You and the icon gone. I think a lot of people watch Nike with the swoosh and they're like, yeah, that's, it's awesome. Like I'm like, that's because Nike spent billions of dollars on their brand, dude.
Just brand building. Yeah. They've spent tons of money. So, okay, good. That's some good feedback. So Don, be thinking about that.
I probably would have the logo on the left-hand side, but I would use heat mapping to find out whether I'm wrong about that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I would flip-flop the logo and that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you one other thing. In the chat, I gave you a link to a company called Pro Writers. Just click on that real quick. I'm not going to walk through it much. I just want to show you something about that. Do you see it in your chat?
Oh, here we go. All right. So is it the Pro Writers? Here we go. Go ahead and throw that in.
So you can scroll down, but then scroll right back up. All right. So it's a long website. So we tested everything, but what we found was the stupider we could make the website, the better it converted. And what I mean by that is that video, the bigger we made the video on the right, the more it converted. And so what we did was we didn't make clients think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when you go back to your website, the Serve For You website, I want to have I would recommend having a video right there to the right that it clearly explains their unique selling proposition, who they are, what they do, why they're unique. You know what I mean? And so that's going to be one of the critical things that we recommend that you do is, you know what I mean?
Have a video. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I use that same video on the YouTube welcome page as well.
Yeah, video is big. ClickFunnels, when I was studying those guys, it seems like every single landing page, every single video, every single page always had some kind of a video.
Correct.
And so a lot of people, though, think that they got to have themselves on the video. What are some other ways that you could have a really engaging video without having to put your own face on there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I don't want to really go into this too much because you can do it wrong, but there's even actors you can buy on Fiverr that can be your spokespeople. We use professional spokespeople because we trust who they are and we care about their brand, but there are ways to do that. I just always get nervous about the cheese factor when you pick someone from Fiverr, but there are some good ones on there. Other things that you can do, in that process are to look at, just using kind of B-roll to talk about your product. You don't need a spokesperson in the actual video. So
sure.
You know what I mean? I think it's great to humanize your brand, but you don't have to,
Yeah. I actually recently decided for one of the brands I'm building, Virtual Legal Pros, I decided that I was going to hire an actress. And you know what's crazy is it, depending on where you're at. Like here in Orlando, there's groups so you can actually join and post in those groups. So they're just full of actresses. I got to tell you, I got probably 100 applications from all
That's
beautiful
awesome.
women who are all like have videos where they've already done things. You know,
Yep.
they on what is it, IFMB or something.
Mhm.
You know, they have actual profiles where they're actors, and they're starving for work. You
Yeah,
know,
man. Yep. I think
so
especially now, I mean, in
yeah.
COVID, there's not much. Broadway shut down. This film, it's hard. It's harder now than ever, and you can't
Yeah.
even get a job as a waitress because most
Yeah.
of the restaurants are shut down.
It's sad and true,
I
and
know.
so yeah, so you can get out there and they'll love to pay the idea of $100 for a 4-hour session, you know. So
Yep.
the idea you can have someone professionally come in and read a script that you put together that they're going to be able to come in and just say that's a good
Yeah.
alternative. So
Yep.
good stuff. Okay, so I did pull up your report here, which is pretty cool. This is similar to Neil Patel's tool. It looks like maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So what it's going to do is we're just going to look at their citations here. So your citations are the critical directories that we believe as a client you should be on. And what you want to be able to do is you want to have consistency with your name, address, and phone number.
Yes,
What you're
citation.
noticing here is this gentleman isn't registered on Google, hasn't claimed his Google My Business, or at least it's not showing that it has. And then same thing with Facebook. Now you might be thinking to yourself, dude, nobody's going to find me on judysbook.com. Like you see that in the bottom left.
Yeah.
That's not why you're doing this. What you're going to do here is that as you get consistency with your name, address, and phone number, that those are certain triggers that Google's looking for. That's going to help you with local pin packs. And we've even noticed that it's helped improve domain authority. When you improve domain authority, you know, when you improve domain authority, you're able to get keywords to launch bigger, stronger, and faster.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's a good point. And so he doesn't have a whole lot of competition in his local area. So it looks like he's showing up in Google My Business. But what would you say? I have a little, I'm curious here.
I don't think he claimed it. Did he claim it?
Yeah, I think he's claimed it. I just think that he doesn't have all the information, right? Because I don't see the physical address here.
Yeah.
Versus this one. Look at this one. See, this one has the physical address with the phone number.
Yeah, it's just not optimized. I mean, our software is even showing it's just hasn't been, you know what I mean, that he hasn't hasn't claimed it. The other thing, if you go back to that, you're looking at one review.
Yeah.
Now, every industry is different, but the more reviews you can get, the better it's going to help your pin pack. Now, keep in mind that, like you said, he doesn't sound like he's got a lot of competition, but I don't know what ancillary keywords are coming up with Google Map Packs. So he might be scoring on, you know, what is that, process services in Texas, process server.
Yeah.
But it's very possible that there's like other keywords related to process server that he might not rank for. I don't know what another.
Yeah, like legal services, you know, something like that. So he doesn't show up at all.
Yep. So a lot of times people will rank just due out of lack of competition. But as you begin to optimize this stuff and as you begin to try to get serious about this stuff, getting reviews is going to be a really important part of that process.
Yeah, good stuff. That's really good feedback. And I really like the breakdown here of this this thing here, Foursquare. Just this list itself. I mean, most of these probably allow you to have a free listing, right?
Yeah. So what happens with this software is that you'll go in, you'll just go in here to click on it. I mean, you know, like we offer it and you clean it up one time and it's going to clean up all those directories all at one time, but then it's also going to be in a scenario where it gives you a review engine so that anybody who uses your service can get a text message to say, how are you doing? Or an email. Like you ever been to the dentist and then you leave the dentist and they say, hey, how would you rate your service?
Yeah.
That's us. That's the engine that we do.
That's really cool.
There's more like us. You know, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to plug ourselves. I'm saying,
no, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You want to get your name, address, and phone number consistent. You want to get consistent reviews and you want to stay on top of your reviews.
That's good. Yeah. And there are some companies, you know, that do it like Yext or one of these, you know, similar.
Way more expensive.
Yeah.
Way more expensive.
What I was going to say is like, you know, usually I recommend people, I'm like, you know, at some point, bite the bullet, do it. So you're on all these things and then it's just a one-time fee. You can be done with it. But so you're saying your service offers that as well?
Yeah. That'll be
okay. Really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's
Well,
cool.
I'll be using you guys for sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because
Yeah,
it takes so much time to add all these
terrible.
listings, and it's
Yep.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, one of the cool things when I build a website for someone is I set it up and then I allow them to make, they can actually log in and make whatever changes they want. It looks like he added another
Yeah.
thing, and this is really common for people who are building their own websites. Right?
Yep.
Is they know what they want to put. They could type all the text in, no problem, but the design is usually. Do you
Mhm.
find that's the most complicated thing for people usually?
Yeah. So what we do a lot of times is we'll do like heat mapping to find out. We set up our website and then we do heat mapping to find out where people's eye movements are going. Where's their mouse movements going? Are
Mhm.
they scrolling? How long is it taking to click? I monitor how long they're watching videos and when they fall off. And then I'll do drip marketing to make sure that,
Mhm.
our system follows up with them wherever they leave. Like right there, like I would want to know of those of those forum fields right there.
Mhm.
I want to find out, you know what, did I get someone to write their name and their email address, but they didn't want to give their phone number and I didn't get that form just because I didn't get their phone number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm measuring that, I'm going to know all that stuff.
I
I
see what you're
also,
saying. So they put their name, their email, and then you see they're hovering around this area thinking like, I don't want to give them my phone. And then
I know.
they
Yeah.
don't hit enter. Yeah.
Yep. So that's the thing is that let's just say hypothetically that they get nervous about this, right? I want to know what form field is going to make them is going to spook them. But after
Mhm.
I do request that quote, I'm going to measure things like if I got 100 quotes, how many of them are actually going to pick up the phone when I call them, things like that. And so I would connect drip marketing to this form so that they're going to get an overview email, features and benefits email, cost of procrastination email, testimonials or case studies, and then maybe the next offer. So that if for some reason they don't want to pick up the phone, they're going to get all my best punches. And all of those emails, I would have bite-sized videos in them to answer all the questions that I would have asked, if I was on the phone with you.
Mhm.
Then what I do is I lead score them based upon how many emails they open as well. So I'm going to know if I get 100 leads, I'm going to know maybe I have a 20% conversion rate. And of that 20% that converted, I'm going to know how many touches it took to turn that lead into a sale. So therefore, if I say, you know what, I've got these leads in the hopper, but they're only on touch point 2 of 5, I know, you know what I mean? Like I know it's not that they're a bad lead. They just haven't been warmed up enough to become legitimate and real.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Being able to test things and see the numbers and be able to see where things are going, that heat mapping, I really like that.
Yeah, we
That's
do a
really
lot of
cool.
that. Yep.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, so we got but this having these logos from these associations, I mean, building that credibility, that's a good thing to have here though. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think you want to establish, we do something we call PPPO. What I mean by that is that when you have a website, you got to empathize, you got to know their pain. You got to make sure that you have a promise, which we call unique selling proposition, or basically what makes you unique. But that final thing is going to be proof. Like, how do I know this isn't your first rodeo? How do you know you're not winging it? The companies that show their notarization, that they're part of associations, that they've got their licenses and certifications, all of that stuff matters. I think one of the things that I would probably recommend that he does, even if he can't name clients, I would have case studies built into his website to show this is a problem that most people see very commonly, and this is the process we've done for them, and this is their path to success.
That's good. That's good. I like having those, sometimes just the granular of having like just like a snippet from Facebook and then a snippet from Yelp or a snippet, and they could actually see the person's face and their
Yeah.
name and stuff. I feel like people want that authenticity. And so
Yep.
that's really good.
And one of the things that we do is, do you see how we're on like StreamYard?
Yeah.
What we do as a service is we'll go and let's say hypothetically you got 10 clients. I'll interview your clients, right? But the camera will be on them. I'll ask him a question. Prior to me asking him the question, we've gone through how he's going to sort of answer the question, but I'm recording this. And then what happens is that after I'm done with you, I edit myself out of the video. And
Oh,
now I have custom testimonial videos built into the website.
that's
You know what I
really
mean?
good.
It's
Yeah.
awesome because testimonials are hard as crap to get, but somebody will sit on the phone with you and talk. But
Yeah.
what you don't want to do is have this testimonial video that's so lame. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used Serve for You and they were really great customer service.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, I mean, my washing machine company is great customer service too. But that's table stakes, right? But if
Yeah.
I ask them, hey, you know what was it like when you were in a jam and Serve for You came and helped you? What was it like when you found 4 other competitors and where did they fall off? You know,
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean? Like those are the nuts and bolts of testimonials that I want to get. And I want to make bite-sized portions of those. And maybe I'm doing a Tuesday testimonial Tuesday, and that's a social media post,
Yeah. Yeah.
things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could do little clips and just the smallest amount. Like I did one for an association one time, and I did this video. It's 60 seconds to go on Instagram, so it could go everywhere. And I
Yeah.
think we ended up cramming 25 or 30 people into this 60-second clip where I
Yep.
basically made them tell a story, be like, Naps
Yep.
gives me all of my work, and 50% of my work comes from this association, and by the end of it, there was a lot. It was at a conference, so there was a lot of noise. But by the end of it, it was like, how could you not join this
That's
association?
awesome. That's
You
great.
know?
That's great.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. We just been killing it here. What do you think? What is kind of like your parting piece of advice for that person out there that's like, okay, I got my website. I get that I need to, hire a company like yours to like go over the heat mapping and figure out my reviews and stuff. But now, how do I drive traffic? Like, what is your number one tip for getting eyeballs on the website?
I would develop an editorial calendar, and your editorial calendar is going to allow you to go from being a reactive marketer to a proactive marketer. If I know what content's going out in the next 30, 60, or 90 days, and I can schedule my watch by it, and I'm using a team to do this in the background, it sounds very weird, but my company doesn't hit home runs. We win by single after single after single. And as you start to just build that momentum, it's not like a blip. It's literally like it compounds. And so my point is that a lot of people want to be good at marketing, but they're reactive. They say, we live these quiet lives of desperation. It's like, well, I got a trade show, so I got to sprint to be ready to the trade show. Or Christmas is coming. I got to make sure my website's ready for Christmas. Or I got to do all those things. Do you know what I mean? So my vantage point is that I want to be in a scenario where they can set their watch by everything. You also need to know that, let's say hypothetically in your best case scenario, that content is going to rank in 90 days. I need to schedule the editorial calendar 90 days prior to when I need it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what the editorial calendar is going to be able to do.
Okay, so I love this idea because anybody who's ever studied YouTube, and this is one of the questions, the last questions I want to really kind of dive in on is YouTube channel. So like YouTube's the second largest search engine, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if a business like this, let's say Serve for You, started putting out these videos, little short clips and stuff, I find that it's not too hard to rank on YouTube for certain keywords. You can kind of hack these other people's videos and see what keywords they're using. They're already ranking, and you could be put in the suggested ranking section.
Yeah.
But how do you think it is that you would use an editorial in your editorial calendar? How would you put YouTube or video creation into that editorial calendar? How would you do that?
So step one, I'm going to kind of go step by step. So step one is I'm going to figure out what I'm going to say. Like, in other words, what blog am I going to do? Then what I do is I figure out what are the keywords that have to go into that blog. Then the next step is I get on camera and I talk about that topic, and I make sure that I mention the keywords in that content. After I've developed that video, I transcribe the video. So now I have text, and then I take the text from the transcription of the video and I SEO optimize it into something that's very readable. Now I've got a video for YouTube. I've got text for my blog. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that video and I'm going to syndicate it on as many podcasts as possible to see if I can get some backlinks from podcast hosting to that content.
That's good. So would you say like maybe throw in some name dropping where you mention people, like we mentioned Neil Patel in this video. If you're, if you did a blog post and you said, hey, Neil, by the way, we shared, we talked about your tool here.
You can absolutely do that for backlinking. I would probably really try to get hyper personal on who you're trying to go after. If they're too big, they might not respond to that. But
Right.
if they're people that, like, if you mention me as a company, I'm gonna what do you call it? I'm gonna promote your content because I'm big enough to be big, but I'm small enough to know that every mention matters.
Every
Where
mention.
Neil probably gets mentioned 50,000 times a day.
He gets mentioned to a point where it's an absurdity. It's like, okay, yeah, I got enough links.
I know.
Thanks.
And do you
Also,
know,
your domain score.
do you know Brian Dean
I've
backlinking?
heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is so funny, is he consulted with us before he was Bobby Big Time.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this dude's a genius. And lo and behold, like 2 years later, he's at like Neil Patel level when it comes to YouTube. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And so I wish I would have started a YouTube channel 10 years ago, but
You're not kidding. Yeah.
The second best time is now, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing here. So if you guys are getting tons of value here, you know what to do. I mean, I'm going to throw it up here just because I love the little heart right in the middle. If you're on Twitter, which you're not, but if you were, you would want to hit that little heart button. We got some heart people, and we probably got some Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe Donald Trump will see it. He's the only one on there. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So this has been a lot of fun, and we've reached that moment of the show where some lucky winner is going to be announced. Chris, we're going to go into a short little break. That's going to be very short, and then when we come back, I'll have you announce who is the winner.
All right. Sounds great.
Awesome. That's short enough.
Starting to get into that dance music there.
I know. You know, one day I told myself one day I'm gonna start the channel. You know how it counts down. Actually, I didn't hit go live when the preview came on. So if you guys watch the replay, you're gonna be like, "Why did they just say 2, 1 and then start?" It's because I didn't hit go live. So the only person who saw the intro today was me and Chris here. So,
yeah, but it was wonderful. So
yeah. But one day what I'm going to do is with all that dramatic stuff, I'm gonna just be gone. So like, it'll just start, when it fades away, it'll just have my chair.
That's perfect.
Okay. Where is this guy at? So, okay. Without further ado, who is this week's $3,000 website credit winner?
All right. It's Blue Panther of San Antonio.
Blue Panther. Congratulations.
All right.
So what that means is, we give you $3,000 worth of credits. MightyWebsiteBuilder.com gives you those credits. And of course, Chris has got some really cool stuff going on over at Farotech. How do you pronounce that?
Farotech.
Farotech. Okay. Well, I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time.
That's okay. That's okay. I get that a lot.
And then Don, thank you for being a loyal listener and commenting your website nearly every single time. I'm going to miss those comments moving forward. Just appreciate you guys watching. And Chris, what's the good word, man? How can everybody keep up with you?
Yeah, well, if you go to my website, you can go to Farotech, FAROTECH.com, and you can always email me there. One of the things that's very interesting about what we do is, if you jump on the phone with us, we're going to provide a lot of value, whether you can use us or not. I've always just loved marketing. If I won $1 million tomorrow, I would be probably back here the next day because I just love what I do. And if I can help you reach your goals, that's great. If I can't and push you in the right direction, that's also great. So, look us up. We'd love to help. And, check back with Mighty Mike. This is kind of an honor and a privilege to be on the show, man. So this is awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's been an honor to have you on. And guys, share this thing, bang the like button or softly touch it, whatever your
whatever your preference, right?
Whatever your preference is. And Chris, man, until next time, man, we're going to keep this thing going once a week. Some of these YouTube channels, they only go for a little while. We're going for the stretch here. So if you guys know anybody who would be a great guest like Chris to come on here and share so much value with us, let them know. And Chris, thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
This is awesome, Mike. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, stay mighty and go out there and conquer your goals.
Thanks, man.
See you guys.